Okay, welcome to the 290 Mo podcast. I'm Mo. If you could introduce yourself for my viewers and listeners.
So my name is Felice Schlessinger, and I am in media. I am a radio personality. I am an artist manager. I am a mom. I do showcase shows. I am an advocate for young adults and that are homeless and at risk. And like I was saying earlier in another interview, I'm the word that I hate more than anything, which is a promoter, and I just don't like that word because I think it's slimy. So there's that.
Okay. And just having that little bit of background information, could you tell me what's the best part of being a promoter then?
The best part about being a promoter?
What is it about it that keeps you a promoter?
I like doing it. I love artists. Like I love doing shows and all that. No, I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to lie. I don't go to all my shows. I'm not going to lie. So shout out to Eddie August of BMW Entertainment because he goes to. That's who I'm partnered with for as far as doing shows, and so he's there. So I'm But I love doing it.
Okay. So when it comes to managing, do you have to? How does someone go about acquiring your services?
Well, I'm not taking anybody currently. Okay. I'm not. I do manage Willie Neal, aka Love Child. That is his artist name. He is also a producer, and his producer name is Willie Neal. He's two people in one. It's just how it is. I also manage Ejil Beats. He is an engineer. He's a producer. He's an artist, and he's a DJ, and he's a writer. So that's it. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay.
So don't hit me because I get hit every day. Every day. Okay,
still talking about managing. So with these two people, how did that relationship begin? Was it were you offering your services, or did they notice you had a talent and they reached out to you?
No, maybe Willie Neal. So Willie Neal, I met him at a show a while back, and so at that time, I saw him on stage at the House of Blues, and it was Taco's show. He sold out the entire venue. Willie Neal and Taco have a song together called "Wanna Love," and I saw him on that stage. And I'm like, that is a star. Like I know, when my arm and my hair is up on goosebumps. I know, but I didn't know him. Like I didn't really know him. Go back like maybe a year or two later, and he was doing it again. And so every time Taco was doing a show, he would get on that stage. And so we wound up chatting and what have you. And he was telling me that his former manager, Dutch Schultz, who was Determined Hustle, rest in peace to him, passed away. And he heard that I said Determined Radio, and he was like, did you say that you have a show called Determined Radio? I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, my manager was Determined Hustle. I'm like, yeah, I know who that is. And he was like, you know him? He's like, you need to be my manager. This is like fate. Like, you need to be he didn't give me a choice. I had to be. He was like, you're doing it. I'm like, okay.
So before
there was no choice in the situation.
Okay, so before this point, did you have any experience managing or in the music industry?
Yeah, so before him, I was managing Amio, and he's on break right now. He will go back, so that I'll take him back. But I started with that. I started with Amio.
Okay. So from managing was while you're managing was the I'm losing my train of thought. Was the promoting already an aspect, or did you have to add that once the managing became a part, so you was able to get your artists?
Yeah, I was a manager first. I was definitely that was first. I was a manager.
So when did the promotion part aspect come in? Was that just a part of the managing, or it was just something you found yourself having the talent in?
Well, I do. So I have there's a drop-in center called Stand Up for Kids. It's like I said, it's for young adults. They're homeless outreach type program, and so we also are not government funded. So I did a show for that, and so that kind of kicked it off. Like I wasn't a promoter. Like that wasn't. I'm going to go with an event planner for that situation, and that's Purple Palooza. So I've done 3 of those already, as far as that goes, and so that kind of kicked it off. And then I don't really know the story on how I became a promoter, to be honest, because I met a guy, shout out to John Hill. I met John Hill. For some reason, he made me go to Laughing Buddha in River North. And from then, he introduced me to Eddie August. And from that, I have no idea how, couldn't tell you why I was a Laughing Buddha. I couldn't tell you why John Hill made me go to Laughing Buddha. And so I met Eddie August. He just like, hi, how you doing? Kept going. I don't know how that conversation started, but the next thing I know, I'm like helping him out, doing shows, and that, I couldn't even tell you.
Okay.
We just rolled.
Yeah, that's dope to already be talented, because there's some people who've been doing it for a long time and really aren't effective at what they do. So, with that being said, what's your favorite part about managing the artists and the engineers that you manage?
Bullying
If you had
them.
to say.
I like to bully them.
Oh yeah, that's I love
They
your
listen
honesty.
though. They listen.
Uh-huh.
It takes a minute sometimes, but for the most part,
Okay,
I
okay.
like to bully them.
And when you're managing, do you outsource for like to get tips from other managers? Is it the manager or is it straight work?
Yeah, no, it's just straight work.
Okay,
You know?
okay.
I mean, I know other stuff. I would say, like the two of them had taught me so much. You know what I'm saying? As far as like learning things. You know what I mean? They know more than I do. Even you know what I'm saying? Like Willie Neal's uncle is Danny Boy, so he learned all of the business sense from his uncle. You know what I mean? So Danny Boy, like I'm sure you know, is featured in most things Tupac. So that's how he learned it. And from then I'm listening to him, so he's teaching me stuff. And I didn't really know anything about beats, and Angel Beats makes beats, and I'm watching him, and he's like a mad fucking scientist, like crazy. So I'm like, I've learned a lot of stuff over the years, a lot of stuff.
Okay. So just talking to expanding on the E-Jelly Beast more part. Let me ask you this: was what type of genre is this? What type of genre music were you listening to? And once you become a manager and a promoter, did that expand your music, or did you already have like?
I listened to everything anyway. You know what I mean? I definitely listened to everything. I grew up listening to everything, like from heavy metal to rap to everything. I've been to a million concerts. Like I've always been a music person. So yeah, I've always been a music person.
Okay. And are you an actual fan of the people you manage? Like, do you go home and listen to their
Yeah,
music? Like,
absolutely. You have to be. How can you not? I promote it, so of course you have to like it. Are there some songs that I don't like? Willie Neal, who's Love Child, that's his artist name is Love Child. Some of that shit's some serious porn, and I'm just like in the shower, I'm like, oh my god, I gotta take a shower now.
Right.
Like some of it, I'm just like, he's R&B, so some of that stuff, I'm just like, oh my god, I can't listen to this no more.
Okay.
You know, I'm just like, why?
all right, great. So let's talk about orchestration radio, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay. So when did that become a part of what you do, and what exactly do you do there?
So technically, it starts as Determined Radio. So Determined Radio, like I was saying, I met Corey Ether. I had my Ernest was being interviewed, and so a couple weeks later, I met him I ran into him at Illinois Radio's 1-year anniversary party, and he was like texting me while I was there, and he was like, "You need to do radio." I'm like, "Isn't he here?" And I'm like looking around, he was here, and he didn't want to come up to me because he was texting this, because he didn't want to bother me, whatever. And I'm just like, started talking. I'm like, I don't know one thing about radio. This is going back 4 years. I'm like, I don't know one thing about radio. It was like, you need to do it. You're so funny. You need to do it. I could see you doing it. I'm like, no. And I was like saying the F word every time, like F no, 1,000 times, no. So we get into the car, and so my artist Amio was there, and so he was in the back seat, and he's hitting the back of my chair, and he's like, you have to do it. You have to do it. And I'm like, why? He's like, because you're going to take me to another level. I'm like, it's about him. Okay, I'm understanding. This is about you now. Okay. So I'm at home, and I'm trying to figure this out. I wind up calling DJ MH Toto, who's aka Michael House, in the middle of the night. I'm like, this dude wants me to do radio. He's definitely a mentor. This dude wants me to do radio. This guy's out of his motherfucking mind. What am I doing? I know nothing about this shit. So I wind up calling Corey Ether, and I said, can I have a co-host? He's like, you can do whatever you want. He's like, it's a 2-hour show. It's once a week. It's on FM, and you can do whatever you want. I'm like, oh. Okay, so who would I get? So then I'm thinking about that, and I'm like, okay, who's the funniest person I know? Stacy. Stacy's the funniest person I know. So I call her, pitch her the idea. She's like, oh, wait. You mean I could be the next Wendy Williams? Girl, I'm in. I'm like, okay. So now we're in. I'm like, okay, we're going to do it? We're really going to do this? Now I'm scared out of my mind, because this is FM with no beep. So you curse, that's 500 a word. Okay? And at that time, I curse a lot. And I'm like, oh my God, we're going to screw this whole thing up. Like, we're going to be like the first date, $2,000 out, right? So we wound up, so Michael House and Wild Bill, shout out to them. They were on Urban Grind Radio at the time. And we were at an event, and they're like, we're gonna do your first show with you. I'm like, oh, thank fucking God. So they came to the station. They were our first guests. Stacy and I sat there like we were scared out of our minds. They were already used to never cursing because they can on Urban Grind. And so they did the show for 2 hours. He'll tell you another part of this. He'll tell you that we did not do the show. We were scared out of our mind. But they might tell you another side of the story. But I like mine better.
Okay. So you touched on the fear, fear of starting and not being able to swear. Yeah. So before this first episode, how did you prep? Did you watch YouTube videos?
No,
did you
I
just
did
went into it?
I did nothing. I had Michael House and Wild Bill at my house. I'm sitting on my corner. We're eating pizza, and I'm yelling at them that I was scared shitless. This is how I prepped. They're like, "You're gonna be fine." Like there was no prepping. This was just like, if I'm an Aquarius, I'm just gonna do it. Like I'm gonna do it. Period. You know, it's an action. I'm an action person. I'm just gonna do it. Let's go.
Okay.
Was I scared? Out of my mind. I mean, at this point, 4 years into it, I mean, I've done hundreds of interviews. Hundreds. So we wound up. So we're on FM. This station wound up. The woman that owned the station wound up moving to Houston, and so she decided to. The people that were supposed to buy the station didn't buy it. Blah, blah, blah. And so we wound up. She was selling the station. So we're like, shit. What are we gonna do? Well, by that point already, I met E.J. Beats, and he wanted to do his own show, the Orchestration Radio, through the orchestration, and wanted me to host it. So I was already doing his show. I think I was already doing it at his studio. So we have a radio room, the whole bit. And so I was just like, okay, I'm going to have to bring my show there. I mean, what else am I going to do, you know? So I called him up, and I'm like, you're not going to believe what happened. La, la, la. He's like, it'll be fine. I'm like, you're going to do the whole thing? You're going to produce it? Yeah, it'll be fine. I'm like yelling, you know? I'm like, it'll be fine, Felice. It'll be fine. I'm like, okay. So that's what happened. So I wound up bringing Determined Radio. I think it was like maybe almost 2 years old at that time to his studio. And so that show, Determined Radio, is on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10. The Orchestration Radio show is almost 2 years old now, and so that show is Tuesday nights from 8 to 10. So I host that show for him.
Okay.
So that's his show. It's not really my show.
Okay, great. I appreciate that. So, from Determined Radio to Orchestration Radio, now you're catching your stride. You got your schedules. Y'all cranking out the interviews. Now that you're doing this, what's your favorite part about being on radio, conducting interviews, and just being on the mic?
I love teaching artists. Most artists, 99% of most artists have no idea how to collect royalties and all that stuff. Do I teach them how to collect royalties? I don't. But I explain, but I know someone that's like the guru, and I send them all to her. And so I know the gist of it. Do you know what I'm saying? I know that there's 13 to 16 royalties per song. Most of these artists don't even know what the word paperwork is. They don't even know what that means. Do you know what I'm saying? So like, I like to explain that to them. They're like, wait, what? They're like, there's 13 to 16 royalties per song?
That's the first time I've heard that.
There is. I mean, you put your stuff on Facebook, that's a royalty. You're putting your YouTube link on Facebook, that's a royalty. An artist is walking in to a show, whether there's 2 people or 1, that's a royalty. There's another back royalty, which I just found out today about. I actually just read about it today. That if somebody says your name, that's a royalty. You can get a royalty off that. And I'm like, I didn't read the whole article. I can go back, don't worry. So shout out to Gigi Miller. She's on Facebook. Gigi Miller, she is the guru. She knows everything. She actually has an artist development that she has, and she gets on artists, and she teaches them all of those things and how to do all that. She's a flat rate of $200. She's worth thousands of dollars. I don't know why she's only $200. It's just too cheap to me, but she teaches everything. I've interviewed her before. She is legit. She's not like, people like worry that she's not like who. She's legit. I promise. She's the only one I know that does it. On top of that,
yeah, because I've never seen that type of. Well, I go to YouTube for everything like that. So that might be somebody I need to
definitely. And she does like managers, artists, radio people. I mean, all of that kind of stuff. It's not just artists that she works with. She works with development. You know, she's doing all of that. But she can teach you all of that stuff. So Willie Neal knows a lot of that stuff, like I said, because of his uncle. He learned all the business before he became an artist. So he knows a lot of that stuff. So, but I didn't know all of that stuff. So, yeah. So I love teaching them. They look at me like, wait, what? Like, what? Yeah.
Okay. So just monitoring your social media, and I followed you guys, and I noticed the work going in. So how do you guys go about choosing artists to bring on a radio station?
There's 2 different ways. So if an artist can email us and say that they want an interview. And so we send them an email telling them our next date, what have you. There's that way. I kind of like look through their stuff first, and if it looks okay, then I'm cool. It's
right. That's why
I'm really like.
Is it a pass or fail probably when you're doing that?
I'm not really. The only thing that's going to probably sway me to not is when I'm just like, just scrolling a little bit through their Instagram, and I see like there's like a ton of guns and a kind of like I'm trying to keep it as positive as I can be. I try to veer away from stuff like that. It's very rare though that I will people that I will, and then there's people that I invite to the show because I want to interview them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so there's that too. So it's both ways.
What specifically may jump out about an artist that you be like, I want to talk to him?
I don't know. Like, I could be at a show and I met them and
Mm-hmm.
I love their stuff and I'm like, okay, I want to interview them. They're so fun. Like, I love fun, like, stuff. So I love fun interviews. There's nothing worse than a boring interview ever. Like, that. Have you had that? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's horrible. Like, I want to cry half the time. Like, I don't know what to do with these people when they're boring. Like, I don't. And I make Stacy do it. I don't know what to do with them. I just don't. So yeah, so if I meet somebody and their music's amazing, like, and I catch it right away, I'm gonna grab them.
Okay, great. And just touching on the boredom part, for the opposite of that, up to this point, what would you say would be your biggest moment or your most biggest accomplishment in radio to this point? If you had to pick one, if you had to give somebody a highlight of your radio career up to this point, what did you think it'd be?
Like something that I've interviewed.
It could be just you personally. Like, if you be like, I wish I could do that again. You know what I'm saying? It was just your favorite, maybe your favorite interview, favorite artist.
That.
Oh,
That's shady. I know exactly who my favorite interview is. I'm not telling.
Okay.
I won't tell people who my top 5 artists of Chicago are either. Okay, but I will tell you my favorite Chicago artist only now because he passed away.
Okay.
And so this is the only person that I do say. When people are like, Felice, well, who are your top 5? Who are your top 5 indie, Chicago artists? Underground. And I'm telling you, I'm not telling anybody. I'm like, no, that's so mean, because then they'll be hurt if I know it's not, don't pick them or their friend or what have you.
Or it could be motivation.
So, but as far as Chicago goes, Henry Arts, who passed away a year ago, he was an R&B singer. And I can cry just thinking about him, was my favorite.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Thanks for answering that for me.
I could already cry. Like, that's how fast.
Okay. And if you could, once you get into radio, did you gain any other relationship? Well, you spoke on a few of them, but did you gain any relationships that helped you with the radio show? Like any new co-host, any new?
Well, I just switch it up on orchestration. So the orchestration radio show, I switch co-hosts every single week.
Oh yeah, that's dope.
Which makes it so fun for me. Yeah, and it makes it fun. It's like I'm trying to there needs to be more unity. There's not enough unity in Chicago. Now there's a lot of unity within Chicago radio media people, but there's not with artists. Do you know what I'm saying? Not at all. Yeah. It's a little bit better than it used to be even from 4 years ago. It is. I see it being a little bit better. But to make it even better, I'm like, what can I do to change this?
Mm-hmm.
So. Which is why I started Determined Radio to begin with, because I was trying to give an artist a platform, Chicago artists a platform, which then I'm like, okay, if I can make another platform, which is orchestration, I'm going to do it again. Like, the more platforms for Chicago, the better, right? But how am I going to change it so it's not exactly the same, So I came up with just switching out co-hosts. I've had people from co-hosting from Power 92, My Radio Chicago, Illinois Radio. Everybody from different artists. Like, I love having artists. Yesterday I had Loco the Lunatic. Like, that was a really fun show last night because he's crazy and he's an amazing artist. Like, just to change it up, and then they network. So whoever's co-hosting with me might not necessarily know those artists, and now they're networking and they're exchanging Instagrams and they're meeting each other.
Loco. I've been
right, you know what I'm saying? So it's changing up. It's just making people meet each other and networking. There's been a ton of that, and I love that.
And that's a great idea. That's something to keep it fresh. So
just change it up.
So before we leave off radio, if you could, what other radio do you listen to? And when do you listen to these other radio stations, are you like, they could do this? Are you critiquing them, or is it just purely, or do you just listen to yourself?
I don't. If I'm listening to anybody, there's only a couple of people that I'm pretty, as far as internet type radio that I listen to, which would be Fusion Radio, which is Brian Stinson, who is the guru. That's the GOAT. To me, that's the GOAT. He has been around. He is at ITT school. That is the most gorgeous station ever, by the way. If you've never been there, it's an all glass station.
Oh, yeah.
He's the dopest guy ever. I've anything I have a problem with, I go to him. He's one of the many that I go to, but I listen to him because he's just amazing. And I listen to, a lot of times if I catch it on Saturdays at 4:30 is Illinois Radio, because those are my friends over there. So I listen to that when I'm around. But I listen to us a lot too, because we're on the Spreaker app and we're monetized to iHeartRadio and all kinds of other things too. So I always listen to our shows back, because I'm like, I said what? I did what? I said what? He said what? It's so funny to me to go back to listen to what the hell I just said. So that makes me grow too, you know.
That was actually my next question.
Yeah,
if you
I
listen
do.
to your own
Yeah,
shows.
you have to.
So when
It's
you listen to it,
hilarious,
is it purely just a playback, or are you critiquing yourself and taking notes? Like, next time I might not do this or say this, or is
Yeah,
it just
sometimes. Most part, I'm going in there going, I did what? I said what? Like, that's 9 times out of 10 I'm doing.
Okay,
But,
okay.
yeah, no, I definitely listen to both shows.
Okay.
Every week.
And before you go into a show, are your shows scripted? Is it some type of layout, or is it just straight? We got this interview, we got this co-host, let's rock. And it's always been a formula, and that's always worked out for you.
No, I didn't start like that.
Okay.
No, I did not start like that. Stacy does. Stacy just walks in, sits down, and we're ready to go. She's ready to go.
Okay, how was
she
your
don't know his
evolution?
name. She don't know nothing. She knows nothing. I will know your name. I'll probably screw it up because if it's
Right.
crazy, I will mess it up. I have scrolled your Instagram at some point. I have stalked you a little bit somewhere, you know, just to see what's going on. I have them both. They always have 2 songs, so sometimes I'll listen to their song beforehand. I used to do it all the time on FM because I had to make sure it was clean.
Right.
Now that we don't have to be, now we can curse, and I don't really listen to their music anymore. So it's kind of more fun now to like as it's going, and then I hear it to critique it after with the artist being there. Kind of fun. I'm usually nice. She's not as nice. Nah, she's nice, but yeah. But yeah, so we'll do. But yeah, we're not now to this point. 4 years in, I just walk in. It's 8:02. Let's go. Like
Okay.
you know.
All right. And you talked a little bit of distribution with the speaker app.
Yeah.
If you had to pick, was that your favorite platform to listen to the show on, or do you prefer to see the actual show, or
Well,
it
we do
doesn't
go
matter?
live. So we go live on Determined Radio's Facebook page. We go live on the Orchestration Radio Facebook page. On the artist, not on us.
Mm-hmm.
So and then if we have a couple interviews, we turn it off and then go to the next interview as far as the live goes. So then that way they have their own live because half the their phones are dead half the time or halfway through. So they have their own live. They could do what they want. They could chop it up. They could do what they want. Reshare it. However, their friends reshare it. And then the Spreaker app, we actually have a link as well, and so we post that. And so they could share that. That's the audio for it. So that would be the audio for it. So we use the Spreaker app. I just use it only because Ejel Beats started it, and that's what he said to do. Okay.
Okay. So you don't have no personal preference?
No, I have no idea.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it for that. So moving along, if you could, if you don't mind, could we talk about Stand Up for Kids?
Yeah.
Okay. If you could tell me a little bit about that.
So Stand Up for Kids is on the north side. It's like Ashland and Addison. It's a drop-in center for at-risk and homeless young adults. It's basically it's a party place. I mean, we're getting our shit together though. We're doing some stuff. Like we got some computers. We're gonna do like a computer night on Thursdays. Like we're getting our shit together. It's been there like 6 years now, so maybe a little bit longer, maybe
Okay.
7 years. And so the kids come in. They're not kids, but they're 17 to 25. So they come in, they hang out, they can charge their phones, they can get food. We have a donation closet full of like whatever they need. Whether they just got new housing, they got housing, so now they need dishes and all that. I collect anything, so all donations we accept as long as they're like in decent condition. Clothes, kitchenware, toaster ovens, whatever. I mean, I'll take it. And they just, it's a couple hours at night. And so right now we were open 3 nights a week, but with COVID and stuff right now, we're just open 1 night a week. We're going to go back to 2 nights soon. But if a kid and DMs me and like, I'll run over there and help them get whatever they need or whatever.
Okay. And if you don't mind, could you tell me exactly how you got involved in that? And do you ever correlate the two with the radio? Like, have you ever brought somebody that you met from Stand Up for Kids to the radio? Or not just anybody who works with, but like a kid maybe who was talented?
I haven't done that. I haven't brought one of my kids on air, but I've done like, we all switch positions, so there's always a director. So Fred right now is the director. Then there's like the president of the board, and then we have the person that does social.
Mm-hmm.
So we switch positions. So at the time we had a different director, and so I brought him on to talk about it. I've had Civic Studios on. They do a lot of stuff with kids as well. So things like that. I haven't done it. I've always kind of kept it away from like as far as like bringing the kids on and that kind of thing. I don't know why. I just haven't done that.
I just know a lot of kids in down places be real talented. You know what I'm saying? So that may be something that may pop up in the future.
I have some seriously talented kids.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely some seriously talented kids that I have.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. And just to start in that program, was it an invite? Was it you saw what they had going on? You was like, I would like to be a part of that. How did that inception begin?
So before that, I was volunteering at an emergency shelter. And so I found out about that through one of my friends, and they just posted on Facebook, this place needs all these things. I was like, it was a dead of winter, it was freezing. I'm like, I have those, I have blankets, I have this, I have that. And so I went there, wound up, it was a couple minutes from my house at a church basement. And so a really tall, my daughter was like 2, she's 16 now. A really tall drag queen opened the door, and I was like handing her the stuff, and I'm like, what is this place? And she told me about this place, and I was like, I want to be here. I'm like, this is my shit. Like, I want to be here. So I wound up going through training through the night ministry, that was what that was. Through the night ministry, they had an emergency shelter that kids can come between the ages of 14, I think it was 14 to 25. I think it's 14 was the youngest at that time. And they can, they have nowhere to go, that's where they can go. And so it would help them get ready for bed. We would feed them dinner, all that kind of stuff. And so that didn't open until almost 9 o'clock at night. And so you go from that right into feeding them, because they would always have hot food. We had a kitchen, that kind of stuff, and then helping them get ready for bed and so have you. So there were Stand Up for Kids was already kicked off. It was already kicked off. I already knew about it, but I didn't really realize that it was down the street, and I didn't really realize it started at 6, and it was basically their pre-party. So they would hang out there, then they would walk down to the shelter and then go to sleep there. And I was like, well, this is only from 6 to 9. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll go over there. So I wound up going over there and switching and going over there, which screwed every kid up. Like, that's why you're here now. Like, it messes them up. And so I wound up just switching to that one. So I've been doing this. I've been doing this forever. I've been doing this even before the shelter. I was feeding dogs and people under Vidox and whatever.
And that's what I want to ask you. Where did you get that drive from? Was it, did it have anything how you grew up or you knew anybody who was
me?
Because a lot of people can provide, the little things that you said, but they don't.
I've done it here in Milwaukee and Madison. We did, shout out to Wild Bill. Like, we did I don't know the name of his friend, but she had a group at the time. And so on Thanksgiving, we're on this corner over here in Madison and Pulaski. We're feeding them over there. Like, whatever, you want help? I got you.
Okay.
I love it. I don't know. I love it. It's just what I do. I love it.
And have you ever seen yourself creating your own type of give back organization, or is you just steadfast?
Well, I'm on that board, so that would be it. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm on the board of Stand Up for Kids, so that's how I'm doing it.
Okay, great. So before I get you out of here, for any artists or anybody who's listening that may want to link with you on Determined Radio or Orchestration Radio, what would be the best way for them to do that?
Either or. So it's Determined Radio, Facebook, and Instagram. It's the Orchestration Radio Facebook, the Orchestration Radio Station. That was a lot of words. So if they want to do the best and I have to think of all that, you just do Determined Radio, Instagram, or Facebook, because it's the easy 2 words, and just DM me. That's it. It's easy. Yeah.
And is it just a simple DM, like, hey, I want to come on? Do they need to provide anything, or your research is on point?
Yeah, I'm on point. I am on point.
I see. On point, on time.
I'm telling you. I have to be.
Yeah, especially in this business, you know what I'm saying? Because I didn't have to turn people around, because we had some at 5 and then they show up at 5:45, right. But I got some at 6:15, so
you got to lie.
Yeah.
So if my show's from 8 to 10, I have it like scheduled out. My show's from 8 to 10, and I tell them to be there by 8:15. I know I'm not gonna really start that first interview till 8:45. You know what I'm saying? Like, I lie to my artists. What time the show is gonna be at. I lie to everybody. I just lie. Okay. Time, you gotta lie.
Okay. Let me ask you this: what's the least part you like about maybe working with recording artists?
They don't show up.
Okay. Especially after they set it up. That's something that happens often.
No, not as much anymore, but it definitely will piss me off.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably the worst. That's the worst part.
Okay, and with you doing radio, have you ever considered maybe doing TV or
hell no,
or a nationwide thing?
Hell no.
Why not?
Hell no.
I definitely feel like you had the charisma for it. Like,
I get that, and shout out Michael House that likes to say that I should do stand-up, which I'm never going to do, by the way. I don't even like stages. I won an award, and I was ready to, like, die. If I was going to win, I was going to die. And I won, and I was going to die. And I made everybody that was in that section go with me on that stage. I was not even kidding. Like, I don't like any of it. I don't even like being on YouTube. Like, I don't like being recorded. I don't like being in pictures. I don't like none of it.
That's interesting.
I like to be behind the scene. Because I think because I started that way, I'll put you out. You know what I mean? I'll push everybody else out. I don't need to be out. I'm good. Like, I'm fine. I don't need all that spotlight crap. Yeah. I don't care about it.
I can feel you. I'm very, very introverted, but once the record button's on, I open up a little bit. So before I get you up out of here, what would you say the ultimate goal is for Determined Radio, for Orchestration Radio, and Stand Up for Kids? What would you say the ultimate goal is for those?
That's a really good question. No one's ever asked me that before. The ultimate goal? I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even think that far ahead. I don't know. The ultimate goal? I'm gonna have to think about it for real.
Okay, that's great.
No one's ever asked me that before.
I'm glad I got
Good
one in.
one.
Glad I got one in.
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal. That's really good.
Okay, so stand up for kids. At the end of the day, is that purely does it make you feel good inside, or is it purely just to give back?
They've taught me more than I've taught them, to be quite honest.
Yes. Do you involve your family and friends with?
Yeah, my kid's been there. My kid plays dominoes with them. Like, yeah, she loves it. She's 16 now. They have all known her forever. You know, some of my kids still come. So, like, yeah, she loves it too. She loves to give back.
It's probably good to always have in touch.
Yeah, I think you should always give back. I don't care who you are. You know what I mean? I don't care who you are. This world is crazy.
Right, and things can flip flop in any
there's
second.
Any way that you could give back, whether it's like, you know, giving somebody $1 to, like, you know, just like helping somebody with their homework. Like, that's, you know, I have kids that are high school. They're coming in. I don't know how to do that math, but I know somebody in here that does. Like, I might not be able to do that part, but like even do something like that. Like, you don't have to give back. Like, it doesn't have to be money. You know, it can just be your time. Okay,
so what would if you had to say what makes Determined Radio and Orchestration Radio different from other radio stations?
I'm on it. Hello.
True.
I'm on it. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, that's no. What makes it different than everybody else? I don't know. There's not that many Chicago platforms. You know what I mean? I think that
especially
makes
highlight the artists
that we're literally bringing on Chicago artists. We're literally interviewing Chicago artists, and you know, just trying to make some unity within this crazy town of Chicago that can't get it together.
Okay. And before I get you out of here, if anybody's listening and watch who may want to be involved with Stand Up for Kids, is that something that's possible? And if it is, how would they go about doing that?
So if they want to volunteer for Stand Up for Kids, they could do Stand Up for Kids Chicago on Facebook, Stand Up for Kids Shy on Instagram, hit the DM.
And is there any qualifications, anything you need for that?
We usually have them come in and just kind of basically, like, you know, talk train them in this talk train situation. But it's, you know, it's pretty
But you don't have to be a teacher or a doctor or anything like that.
Not at all.
Okay.
There's no rocket science to any of this.
All right. That's why I definitely understand how valuable a time is for a person in your position. I appreciate you for coming up on the show.
Thanks for having me.
It's truly an honor. If you don't mind, I would love to pick your brain whenever you're free. So
that's Determined Management Consulting.
I've learned so much just from this 30-minute interview. Yeah. So just about the royalties and stuff like that. But I think what you're doing is dope.
Thank you.
I see the work. Like every time I click on Facebook, I see Orchestration, Turn Radio every time.
You have to be consistent. That is the key to anything. I don't care if it's radio, swimming. I don't care what it is. If you're not consistent with whatever you're doing, it's never going to work.
Yeah. Because people
whether
definitely
it's music, I don't care what it is.
And that's why I tell like a couple of current artists I know, like even you may not get the number of reactions you want, but I guarantee you it's being seen. So you gotta keep motivated. So like I said, thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate your time. Be safe, keep doing what you're doing, and maybe I could be a co-host on a.
Come on, let's go. I literally just like scroll my DM. I'm like, who haven't I had yet?
Oh yeah,
that's how fast I do it.
I'm always open.
Yeah, it's super fun.
All right, so thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll be tuning in later tonight, sharing as well. So have a good day.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.